Welcome to the Mucked Up My Self-Care podcast.
I'm Jill from New York.
And I'm Linda from Tasmania.
We are two moms from opposite sides of the world who are living, demonstrating, and helping moms across the world build their self-care asset bank.
Ready to dive in? Messy, interrupted, imperfect, and most of all mucked up. Let's get going. Good morning. Good evening.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So,
Already have children in the background on a bike.
I love it. School holidays. Yay.
Yay. Yes.
Sometimes the cause for panic and sometimes the cause for joy.
Sometimes both simultaneously at the same time.
Oh,
Can you have panicking joy? I don't know.
I think, well, if we can have highs and lows that are like the same thing, why can't we have panic and joy?
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure it's a new thing. Yeah, exactly. So why don't I kick us off, because I think you have the last few times.
Okay, let's do it.
Yes. Highs. Whoa. We went for a big hike, as you call it, a bushwalk this week. 12 Ks. He's just ran off with some things that I really would like to retrieve. So I'm going to stop with my high. You're going to go with yours, and I'm going to run and get that thing.
Okay.
Pause for one. No. You go, and I'll be right back.
So, okay. Oh, my high. Let's see. This was today's, and it was so much fun because one, Declan actually listened to me, and two, then he just showed me up. Like, I think it's being showed up. But Declan was outside playing with water, of course, and it's freezing outside, and he's got hardly any clothes on, long sleeve shirt and sweatpants, but he then decides to take his sandals off and say he wanted to step into the pool of water, and then he proceeded to play in it. So I grabbed a towel, and I came back with the towel. I said, come over here when you're done playing and we'll dry you off, no problem, go ahead, you do you, kid. He never came over to me, and I was distracted, so I didn't see where he went, and he was over playing with something else instead. So I had to go find him. We dried off his feet, and I said, well, we have to dry your feet off before you can keep playing with this. And then I realized his shoes weren't on him. So like, you can do one rocket jump, which is this toy with an airbag on one side, and you just jump on it and it shoots a rocket up into the sky. So I told him he could do one jump, and then he had to go get his shoes. And he showed me up, and he did a double jump because there's two bags on it, and shot off both rockets at the same time instead of just one that I assumed he would do.
Oh my gosh.
He followed directions. He did everything I asked him to do. And then he was just like, Mom, I'm going to one-up you.
Yep. And you just went, kid, that's no. Yeah.
I was like, yep, you got me on that one. Good job, kid.
Yeah. And it happens so quickly too. Like you said, you're distracted for 1 minute.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Your feet are going to fall off. It's so cold. It's definitely not that cold, but he's so little, it definitely would have happened.
Yeah.
But then let's see. Do you want to go back to do your low? I haven't done my low, so we could do a high and a low.
Yeah, sure. Because my low sort of feeds into your low as well, of the whole thing of distractions. We've hit that stage where he's really starting to experiment with things. And I sent you a picture of what we had the other day, which all of the boys have gone through, and it's experimenting with potions and making soups and different concoctions like that. And I found a container on the bench which had a bar of soap, milk, ginger, turmeric, jam, salt, oil, lettuce, just for good measure, just to add some greens in there. And there could have been some other things in there. I don't even know. I managed to retrieve the soap and put that away into the bathroom again. But the rest of the stuff, it was absolutely gross. It was so low. It was really. And yeah, the other day he was pouring like mayonnaise into lemon juice and all sorts of things like that. And you're just looking at me like, oh, we're not going to do that. Yes, you're going to have that. You're going to have that stage. You just can't avoid it at all, no matter, even if you are on top of your child literally all day. I think you still have this stage of, I need to go to the toilet, and there they are, into it, just having a great time. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I think I have one to match you for that. Okay, I saw something really, I don't know. I saw a TikTok about cats liking to have someone watch them while they eat for protective stuff. So I was like, okay, let's try it. Because every once in a while, I'll notice the cat eats when I'm in the kitchen where he can be around me. So I told Declan to sit down near the cat while he was eating, and that never works out well. So the cat left, but Declan didn't leave, and instead then he proceeded to take all of the food out of the cat's food dish and dump it into the water as I'm doing dishes right next to him, not realizing what he's doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now we just have a water dish full of cat food.
Mush. Yep. He could have eaten the cat food, I suppose. That could have been the and that would have been cause for panic. Like that would have been this like
At least yours didn't eat that concoction though.
No, it was all over the bench. It was everywhere. And I think even the dog went to lick some off the floor, and she was like, yeah, no, I'm okay.
That's when you know it's bad, that the dog.
Yeah. All it really needed was probably like an egg in there. It would have just been like the cherry on top. Oh no, it's funny. It really is, but not so funny at the same time. Yep. Yeah. Do you have moments where you do, I guess, worry or panic that you've let your guard down, or perhaps we realize something's happening and too late in the game, all that sort of stuff? What do you think that does for your anxiety and parenting and self-care?
I think there's a few things that I've like been like, they're already in the middle of it and you're just like, no, please don't do that. And you feel it in your skin, like you want to dive on them and say stop, but you're like, also F it. Like,
yep.
You are
it's
gonna
too
be
late.
good.
It's too late. Yeah.
What happens if I stop you then? Like, let's just not do it again. You tried it once. And I question, because I think I thought of this recently, and I think of it every time my husband and I go out with him and I let him just go. And I say, he'll be all right. I can still see him. I can reach him in time for something really bad. And he panics then. And I'm like, should I be panicking? Like, why am I letting him go to do God knows what? But I can still see him, and my husband's now the one panicking. Meanwhile, I guess I kind of panic at home when I'm alone with him, but in that secured space more with my husband there, I don't feel as much that I have to panic or have the anxiety on that, because it's a shared load. I don't know if that's the subconscious part of me saying he'll be fine when we're out in public.
I think there's also the added pressure of when you're at home there's that the panic of like, oh, I just don't have the energy to do the aftermath of milk and turmeric and whatever else that's now halfway across the kitchen. Like,
Yeah, because we're stuck with
maybe,
the mess or the
uh yeah, and you need that support as well when you are in those panicked type of moments, and that's probably when you feel like you don't have it, especially if you're the only parent at home at the time, or whether you've just had a really rough night or a long day, or there's been no nap, or all sorts of things like that add to the build up, I think, as well. Yeah.
Where was I gonna go with that? I don't know. Tell me about a time. Gosh.
Might come back.
Yeah.
She's got
It's
right
like
mum fog.
trauma from the
Mum.
anxiety. Done.
Still thinking about the cat food in the mush of the and look, a time where I was really panicking inside. Goodness, there's lots actually. And I think I actually can panic more around the bedtime. That's what increases a lot of my anxiety at the end of the day.
Mm.
And there's a lot of reasons for that. There's a lot of history behind that and unpacking that I've had to do of my own anxiety and panics and life like that. So I feel quite panicked and stressed about them when they've maybe not getting enough sleep that I know they need and deserve and should, like it's a big should. And so when bedtime is dragging out for someone, maybe for 2 hours, that can certainly cause a lot of panic inside me while I'm trying to remain calm. Excuse me, remain calm at the same time. So bedtime is a classic example of sometimes that panic also ends up on the outside, not just the inside.
Mm. Um, so based off the first part of the question that you had asked before, which is where I think I was going with, how does the self-care play into that though? So do you do anything after bedtime routine on those nights for yourself to come out of that panic as like a little bit of self-care? And
Yeah,
are you
absolutely.
aware of that even to
Mhm.
do something?
Yeah. Yeah. So often after they've gone to bed, that will be the time that I'll get to sit down and look at things like maybe read a book or an article that I've been wanting to read alone, or just have some alone time, or make a cup of tea, or all sorts of things like that. So I think that is part of the dynamics of what's happening, because as bedtime drags out now, my self-care feels like it goes down and down the list.
Mm-hmm.
So then my panic increases, my stress increases, which then feeds into them, which then means they feed off that and their own tiredness or all sorts of other things. So that's where it just feels like it can get really out of control if I'm not careful. Like you're watching a slow motion movie,
Yeah.
sort of going, just stop. Like, what am I doing? What are you doing? What's going on here? And I know the answers to a lot of those questions. I know that it's not always about the water drink that they want for the third time in a row. It's about connecting with me or talking about something that happened at school that day, or it's not always about what they have on the surface. They're also doing their own sort of panicking inside
Mm-hmm.
and can't always express that in words because they don't have a podcast interview that they co-host each week. They don't have that luxury like we do they?
Right.
And then they're kids with not all the words that they want all the time. Yeah.
I wonder because I do the same thing, but with nap time, I had it just this week because we had a school holiday. And I was finally able to be like, you know what, screw it. I give up. I'm gonna stop at this point. It took us an hour and a half before I finally said, you're obviously not taking a nap. So I'll give up my fight, because it was an easy day at work for work stuff anyway. So I had the flexibility, but at night time for bedtime, we don't really have the opportunity to give that up and try again in a little bit without it affecting the rest of our
Mm-hmm.
our own care then. Like,
Yeah.
it's one thing for me to not have to do work on a light day because I have that flexibility, but I have to go to bed too. So this is
Yeah.
happening at night, and then do you give
Mm-hmm.
it up and say, okay, fine, we'll just spend one more hour outside now over here doing quiet time out in the living room? Or, you know, reset
It
so you can do it again.
yeah. Ideally, when I'm regulated a lot more than I want to be, like most situations. But then at the same time, if I was to give an extra hour, let's say, then that starts to then affect the next day when they're tired, and the next morning when they don't want to get up for school, and then the next night when they're overtired again. So it can become, and that's the panic talking, and that's the experience as well of multiple times when that has happened. So I do think that we create bigger drama than we need to, for sure.
Yeah. Like, where else can we unload that panic? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
unfortunately, if we're not careful, it's going to end up being expressed when we're in that panic. So that's what
Yeah.
happened with me Monday. I was like, ah, out loud, like, why won't you just go to sleep?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
how do we like suppress it until we're away from that so we can?
Yeah. Audiobooks have really helped a lot. Audiobooks and there's audio story meditations now that the 3-year-old that he's really getting into as well. So I can concentrate on that more than the situation, that as a tool. So a lot of them have got music and a storyline that goes along with it. So I try to focus on the words coming out of that. I also try to make sure that I'm not projecting too much. So too much of my panic onto them, which is really hard to do at times, especially like last night. I swear the 3-year-old had drank 18 coffees or something, because he took 2 hours and he was wired. He was just like blah, 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 up, down, up, down, up, down, roundabout, wouldn't lay still, jiggle, 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 climb on top of me, climb under me, climb over me. I want to shut the curtains. I want the curtains open. I want a drink. I want food. I want it was just full on. And at the same time, I've got another 3 that need to go to sleep as well. And on my own at this stage for all 4. So I actually ended up putting on a movie for the other 2 to watch while I was concentrating on him, which eases a lot of my panic, because I know that they're basically taken care of. It was a movie they hadn't seen. It was a movie I knew that I didn't have to be there to answer a lot of their questions and that sort of thing. They'd already been asking for a movie, so they felt like their needs were met. At the same time, it just felt like the whole night got away from me. It was a late night. It was a 2 a.m. finish for me. So that was also, it felt like a compromise in a big way.
Yeah. It's nice to see when we can recognize that we've hi baby that we've kind of grown in our motherhood adventure and journey by recognizing those ways that we can.
Mommy,
Yeah.
you have rain.
I do.
What?
You can divert in a way and do exactly what you did. Just yes.
See, Caroline? We know. We love him. I love him.
Okay, good. I'm glad you love it.
I love that cat. That cat is so loved. He's overloved.
So loved.
I reckon that cat's panicking inside.
Oh, that cat panics every time this child looks at
It's so funny. Yeah. And I think a bit like the cat as well. Sometimes we often panic while seeing a situation is happening and then don't even realize what we are saying or what we are doing or what we're trying to do in any sort of situation as well. So yeah, it's really hard, especially as a cat, not to panic inside.
There goes the end of this conversation.
Pretty much. There we go.
See teachers and babies.
The baby's sleeping. She is sleeping, actually. She's having a nap. Yep.
See teachers.
Your kitty cat ran.
No, we can't. We can't see our kitty cat. We've only got a dog.
We don't have a cat. Okay.
No.
Can you go upstairs and I'll meet you? I'll meet you upstairs. Go. Okay. Oh.
Good night. Good night, Declan. Good night. And mine have just started moving around right behind me as well. So I think that's a wrap.
Yeah. Oh, this was a good one too.
Yep.
Oh, we got rubber band balls being thrown around here now. So yes, I'm so glad to have had this conversation as I go panic now over here.
We'll report back next week.
Yeah. Till then.
We hope you can unstuck your muck. Oh, good luck, Jill. Bye.
Bye.